Some speeches make us feel good about ourselves, while others give us the horrible truth. I spend every Friday wasting time on YouTube. So Sai, I hated your speech because it made me realize how much I'm wasting my time. All jokes aside, I want to focus on what Sai wanted me to focus on, which was his logical progression. So I'm going to first talk about how he did a really good job of logical progression in 3 main ways, and then move on to some things that he can work on. So the first thing that I really loved about Sai's presentation was the slides, the way that they moved seamlessly. It almost reminded me of a TED Talk. The way he had text appearing and disappearing in different colors, especially during the introduction, to add this comedic effect. Initially, we didn't know where you were going with the introduction, but we were still drawn to it because you had pictures of your phone. We could relate with that. Then you came to YouTube, and then the most dreaded part came, where you told us that we're all wasting our time. But I really liked how he used the slides. The second thing came from Sai himself, his voice, his movement around the stage. It really kept the speech engaging. And more so, you can see how he changed the tone of his pitch throughout the speech. There was one part in particular which I loved, in which he was over here. He was describing how we're usually warm and snuggled up with a book, but that doesn't need to be how it is. That change in tone not only surprises the audience, but it also shows us his point, that books don't have to be like reading a book by the fireside. And so I thought that was a really good way that he was able to progress through his speech logically. Finally, I loved his organization. This was a proposal. He was first showing us an idea that we were supposed to be hesitant about. He first gave his opening points and then addressed a counter-argument, which was something that actually was very interesting for me. I had never considered a speech being like that. I definitely took note of that. He had 3 main points to support why you should read a book, and then he gave 3 points why you do have enough time to read a book. So overall, I thought he really progressed through his speech well with his slides, his movement and voice, and finally with his organization. For things for Sai to work on, I'm really going to be nitpicky here. One thing that he told me about was his use of the filler word "so." I saw Ming just note down that I said There were small moments where Sai was using the word "so." For example, after he had explained a point, let's say that you should read because it increases your memory. As he went on to elaborate on the point, he would say, so the reason that memory is improved, and that's like a small point that he can work on. And the second thing I thought that he can incorporate, which is less of something to work on, but more of something to think about, is more play acting. In the beginning, he started off by saying, let me elaborate. Play acting in the sense of when he was doing his whole warm and snuggly thing, he was able to really show his emotions by drawing out. So something in his intro, he could be like, so I was walking down the street looking at my phone and then lead on to his conclusion. Overall, Sai, I thought you did a great job engaging the audience, the logical progression was great, and I really enjoyed your speech.